Hello guys, and welcome to the fourth part of this HTML5 tutorial. We already talked about a lot, including basic HTML, adding text, formatting text, comments and semantics. And today, in the fourth part of this tutorial, we will talk about lists and tables. So let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it. Well, now you see that the page is full of colors and everything else, but don't worry about it because that is CSS, and I will be making a tutorial about CSS, but in the end of this tutorial I'll tell you why I put these colors and why instead of section I called this one section an article, as you can see here, because there's a reason to it, but in the end I'll tell you about it. Now let's start with another section. I have the heading for our section, and this section will be called lists. Lists are really kind of easy topic, but we only have 3 types of lists. But well, let's start with the first one. That's UL tag. The UL tag stands for an unordered list. So let's now have another tag called LI. That's list item, LI. And now let's say we are talking about things I need to buy. Let's say bread first. Bread. And now let's go to the second item, and it can be milk, and another item, and it can be eggs, I guess, and another item, and it can be tomatoes. Now let's refresh it, and there we have our first list. And you can see it is unordered because there really doesn't matter the order for this, because well, it's just a list of things I want to buy. But now let's go to the second list, and that list will be OL. This stands for ordered list. In the ordered list, let's for example, well, let's name the things we are doing. With AP here we can say things I need to buy. And now let's get for example top 5 winners of a race. Let's refresh it, and there we have our first list. And now for our second, this will be just random names. Now we can refresh the page, and there we'll see that William Joseph came in first, Aaron Buck in second, Louis Stewart in third, Ray Gordon in fourth, and Philip Rees in the 5th position. Well, we can see that because it is an ordered list, and the order really matters here so you can identify the winner for the gold medal, for example, and the second one for the silver medal, and so on. But here on the ordered list there is a attribute named type, and here, as you can see, we have a whole lot of types we can give to these lists. For example, we can use letters instead of numbers, which doesn't make really great sense, but it may be useful in other web page. We can use an I for the Greek numeration, and so on. But here we can choose the default, that is numerical, and it will make more sense. Imagine now we want to say these were not the top 5 winners, but the top 5 till top 10. We can here add another attribute called start and make it start on 5. And if you refresh it, now we will have the top 5 till the top 9 winner. But, well, that doesn't make really lots of sense too, so let's leave it with the normal numeration. Next, we have our last list, and this one is a definition list. A definition list, as you see, DL. This isn't really used, but it may come in handy for you. So let's see. We first add a term. So we define a term. And in this term, let's, for example, see the word oxidable. And we can here refresh and see the word oxidable. So now let's put defining a definition for the word oxidable. And let's here say capable of being converted into an oxide. There we have it, our word and its definition. Our term, defining a term, and our definition, defining a definition. In this list, you always need to have a DT tag for the term and then the definition tag. So you always get this nice effect of the first term and then the description. Let's add here another term that can be weathering, for example. And in weathering we have the retention of the afterbirth in cows. Now we refresh it, and there we'll have another one. Let's just give it a name that will be, I don't know, random definitions, and there we go. That's all you need to know about lists. Let's now go to the next chapter that will be about tables. Let's give it another section. Let's give it a header and adding. Call it tables. And start with this. So don't worry about this up here. We will learn how to do everything right with CSS later. So let's just give a few horizontal rules like this. Okay, now we have our tables, our chapter tables. Let's start by defining a table. This by itself doesn't know anything, but now we can here add a tag named caption, and this will be the caption for our table. For now, let's for example give it a name named vacations balance. Okay, and now let's start. First, we add a tr tag that stands for table row, like this. In the first table row, normally we have the definitions of the columns. So instead of td, you will use the th, that's for the headers. And here we can have a column for month. We can have a column for place. We can have another column for my balance on trips, and another column for my balance on meals, for example. Now if I reload it, I will already see the headers, the table headers. So now let's give it another row. In this row we can already give some some content to our table. So let's start with the first one, being the month column, and let's say it was in July. Then another one, and say I was in Portugal, and another one, and say I spent, for example, €0 because it was in Portugal after all, and this is where I live. And then another one for meals, and say I spent €50 on meals. There we have it, my table. It's already gaining a form. But first, I don't want to tell you to do this, because this attribute named border doesn't exist in some browsers, and I told you I wouldn't tell you about things that aren't up to date anymore. But let's use it because it still works here. This attribute just gives me, as you see, the borders of the table. I can, instead of using this, use CSS to reach this effect, but because CSS will be for another tutorial, for now we will use this. So let's add another table row with another month, maybe August, and another one saying that I was also in Portugal, and then what I spent on a trip, because it was far from my home. Let's say I spent €50 on this trip, and then for the balance of my meals, let's say I spent €80. Okay, let's just add one last row about information. Let's say it was again in August. I was now in another country. I was in Spain, right by the side of Portugal. I spent €80 on my trip, and I spent €150 on my meals. Let's refresh the page, and there I have the full information for my table. But now let's add yet another table row, and this table row will be about, for example, the total balance. And my total balance was €410. So now, as you see, it really doesn't look very pretty, but it makes the effect you want. If you want to make it a bit more pretty, just give it some empty text here, so that you can make this 410 come to the last column, like this. So now let's learn some other things about table. And the first thing we are going to talk about is the t-add tag. The t-add tag stands for table header, because this simplifies what are the headers of your table, so you can what rows are for the headers of your table, and you can do something like this, and you will have all your headers inside the t-head. So now let's have a t body. That's for the body of our table. Let's organize this like this, and then we have our t foot. That's for table footer, and we'll put the footer with our last row, like so. You see, nothing changed, but now our table is much more organized. So now let's see something else. And that can be, after a caption, the call group. Sorry, call group. What the call group does is it gives you the option of giving some kind of style with CSS to your columns. So let's come here, create another tag called call, give it a span of 2. Giving it a span of 2 is telling that this tag call will select the first 2 calls here for place from month to place. And let's not give it any style, but now let's do the same. And we can here give it a style. Don't worry with what is inside this, because we'll be learning this later. Okay, yellow. So basically we are giving it a background of yellow, and now you'll see that the things with the columns with money are in a yellow color, like so. So now let's say I don't like having this 0 here, because well, it doesn't really do anything. So let's come here, delete it, and I will see that 50 will come one place back. And in the 50, let's say we want it to occupy the whole width of the rest of the row. We can come here and write call span. It's an attribute for the cells of your table, and here you can put a 2. What that will make is that the call span for this cell will be 2 columns instead of just 1. If I reload it, there we have it. And now let's say that having Portugal twice is also irrelevant, so we can delete the last one, the second Portugal, not the first one, the last one, like so. Here you'll see that everything went back a cell, but now let's go to the first Portugal and have a row span attribute. Let's say it occupies 2 rows, and now if we refresh the page, we'll see that Portugal will occupy these 2 rows, and everything else will go back into place. Now let's see, we don't like these 2 cells here totally empty. It just doesn't make it look very nice. So let's go here and delete our 2 cells that are empty. Let's give it a call span of 3, because now we want this one, and this one, all these 3 columns occupied with the word total balance. Let's refresh it, and there we have total balance occupying the 3 first columns. And well, that's about it for tables. I hope you understood it, and I'll see you in the next chapter. So that was it for this video. I truly hope you understand everything, you understood everything, and yeah, that's it. In the next video, in the 5th video of this HTML5 tutorial, we will talk about images, audio, video, and links, and how to add all these elements to your HTML page. So that's about it. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.